Hey everyone, welcome to Live with Cami. This is Cami Wanis, the Freedom Scholar, and guess what? We are here today with Nikki Golly talking about your kids' health. Well, yours too, but also your kids' health. And it is really, really important that we think about our kids' health in terms of how it affects everything, but also their learning. It really does affect their learning, and it's so important for us to consider how they're feeling and how their body is acting so that they can think properly and they can absorb and they can be present, right? They can be present because it's really, really important. So, Nikki's going to tell us all about that, you guys. I'm so excited because this is actually something that I've learned so much about in the last 13 years now. As you guys probably, if you've heard me before, I've talked about that I have Crohn's disease. And so I've learned so much about gut health. And my son actually has a severe dairy allergy. So we've really learned about real nutrition and it's not the food pyramid. Real nutrition. It's something very, very interesting. It's fascinating. It's something you could just keep learning about forever and ever because there's so much more to learn. I know I've been learning about it for 13 years and I'm still feel like I'm such a newbie. So it's so awesome to be able to talk with Nikki. I am so excited about this. You guys, she's everywhere. She's desired to be, she's contacted by all these different agencies for her to come talk because she's so amazing. And it is awesome to be able to talk with somebody who's specifically talking about gut health because did you know that it's so important? Your gut is so important. She's going to tell us all about that. So, Nikki, I'm so excited to have you here with us today. You are a food sensitivity and constipation nutritionist. And I love that because it tells us exactly what you're doing. And nobody wants to talk about that kind of stuff, but it's uber important. Very, very important to talk about that. And I love that you just put it out there and it's just something we need to make normal. So, Nikki, tell us a little bit about why you're so interested in gut health to begin with and how you have this such a great passion for helping people with their gut health.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Yes, I love to talk about the elephant in the room. I always say this is my favorite childhood book. I know we're talking about kids and learning here.
Everyone
Everyone
poops.
poops. It's true. Why is it such a taboo? Everybody's doing it, but not everybody is doing it well. And so that is why I'm just, you know what? Yes, we're going to talk about poop because it is so important. It is a window to what's happening within your body. It's a window to what you're absorbing or not or absorbing. It's a window to how your body's reacting to the foods that you're eating. If you're eating something like you mentioned, you're in that quick intro that you have Crohn's disease as well as your son has a major dairy allergy. Like those are big things that you can the first line is what's coming out of your body gives you a big window to whatever's happening within your body. If you think about it, our gut is the center of our system. It is the center of our body. Everything we eat and drink has to go through your digestive system. So why are we not looking at our poop? Like, why is that such a weird taboo thing? Like, you have to hide in a closet and not talk about it. And like, hell, hello, let's change the statistics of being the sickest country and the sickest generation in history. I know you talk a lot to moms. It is crazy. Anyone born after 1990, our actual um, life expectancy is shorter than our parents for the first time ever, and it's continuing to go down. So it's scary. Let's talk about poop. Let's get rid of the old, like, oh, it's a taboo and you're not supposed to talk about it. Like, that's the time in the 50s. Welcome to 2024. Let's talk about poop because it affects everything. It affects everything in your system. So, a little bit about me and why I am so passionate about this subject is I was miserable, sick, and constipated for 27 years of my life. I was miserable. I just knew that I was sick all the time. I knew that I used to joke that someone could sneeze across an auditorium and I'd get sick. I was just miserable. You name it, ear infections when I was young. That was a big, now a red flag for me, but major ear infections antibiotics after antibiotics, and then I would fast forward, I was so sick. I would typically get strep throat like every quarter or less. Every sickness would turn into strep throat. I had strep throat so many times that I became allergic to the antibiotics for strep throat. If you notice, I took antibiotics. If you know anything about antibiotics, I took antibiotics when I had ear infections. I took antibiotics for strep throat. I had antibiotics for everything. That's what we did, is take way too many antibiotics. If you know anything about the gut, antibiotics trash your gut. All the while I was sick, all the while I was pooping like once a week. Nobody knew to ask the question. That if you go to the doctor, are you regular? Yeah, I regularly go to the bathroom once a week. Like, that's my regular. What is that? It's the question is essentially flawed. It's like, are you pooping every day? That should be the question we really should ask. Like, like, how often do you poop? If you're not pooping every day, you're considered constipated. It is alarming in how many people walk around constipated and miserable and have no idea what's happening with their system. So I have, since I've learned about myself, I've healed myself, actually had a food allergy that caused major constipation, have been able to heal my body of the food allergy and can eat that food again and it not cause issues, which is amazing. And so I really dive down and help. That's one of the things that I do, is talk poop and get clients to feel better than they have in years or ever, or ever. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You have such success in that area too. I see your clients all the time and testimonials from your clients. So it's really amazing to be able to have such a gift that you can give to the world like that. And you guys, let's think about it real quick. Okay. Scientists like zoologists and, that go out and study animals. What do? They look at the poo
they
poos.
look at their scat, yes, which is another name for poop. Yes.
And veterinarians and all that stuff, right? When you can't talk, you don't know. And if you don't know, you don't know. I mean, you just don't. Like you said, if you think that, I know that my mom grew up like that too. Nobody ever talked about it, nobody ever whatever. And then my dad became a physician assistant and he realized my mom was super constipated all the time. And she would take a little antibiotic. That was her like a little pink pill if she felt bad in any way. Like that was just she would just take an antibiotic.
Ah,
And
yeah.
like that was just like, my that side of my family is Chinese and there's all this, great medicine there from traditional medicine, but it was just one of the things that my grandmother's a nurse and so she just grew up like that and she just didn't realize that her little pink pill was an antibiotic. And my dad's like, you should not be taking that just any old time.
Right? When you think about that, most people don't even pay attention to it. That there's a lot of research in the last 10 years about the gut microbiome. It's definitely a
Yes,
hot topic. Most people talk about it.
buzzword.
But the microbiome is basically a host of bacteria and viruses and pathogens and all these things that are beneficial in our gut. But when you take an antibiotic, what is antibiotic means against bacteria. It's exactly what antibiotic stands for. So it kills the bacteria. So it kills the bad bacteria, but it also kills the good bacteria and it throws off the whole system.
Yeah.
And I thought one alarming and surprising fact about antibiotics is if you take antibiotics of any sort, it will change your gut microbiome for not the better for 4 years.
Wow.
It takes your body 4 years to get back to a homeostasis level, and most people, I mean, take antibiotics before 4 years is up, so it's like a constant battle for
Right.
our systems, and we're wondering, "Why is everything reacting? Why do I not digest my food? Why am I constipated, or why am I going to the bathroom way too much?" Like, believe it or
Right.
not, even diarrhea is sometimes actually constipation, that our body is not going to the bathroom. So we'll have constipation and then you'll have bouts of diarrhea. Is what your body is doing is like, hey, there's stuff stuck in the system that we need to get out.
Right.
So what happens is it just pumps all the fluids that you're drinking into your GI tract, specifically your large intestine, your colon, to like move things through. So people have experienced diarrhea when they are super backed up.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, especially with, how people eat today and then, all the medications and everything on top of that. So, you know, Okay, let's just get down to like what this has to do with learning, because I know that it does. And I have been on various, because of my Crohn's disease, I've been on various ends of, the spectrum on all different levels. And so having that, having your gut microbiome, having your gut compromised in whatever way, whether you're constipated or having diarrhea, or you just don't, sometimes it's so minuscule people don't realize, because it's like, oh, I just have headaches, or something like that, but it's actually related and they don't realize that. So
Yeah.
how does that affect our ability to learn, or a kid's ability to learn, especially because kids, if we don't ask about it, we don't talk about it, then, and we're like, man, the kid can't focus.
Yeah. I mean, especially I go back to constipation because that's like my jam, right?
Right.
But the biggest thing is if you're not going to the bathroom, the gut and the brain are so connected. Your gut is actually known as your second brain. One of the major hormones that make you happy, serotonin, is actually primarily produced in the gut. So if things aren't going well, you're not going to be thinking clearly. And just think about it. I mean, when was the last time? I know most people have been constipated in their life. If you have your system is not flowing, things are not moving properly, just think about the last time, like, were you able to concentrate on what you were being asked? You asked 25 questions and you're like, not quite sure what's happening because the flow, if your body is not flowing, emotions don't flow properly, your
Mm,
brain doesn't connect the dots like it's supposed to. There's just so many things that just don't work properly. But when you're fueling yourself, again, if you're not going to the bathroom, you're not going to digest your food properly. And if you're not digesting your food or you're not eating the right things that are going to give you the energy you need, then your body is not gonna consume the calories, or it's consuming calories, but it's not consuming the right calories because we are a very we have way too many calories, especially in the United States. We get way too many calories, but we don't get enough vitamins and minerals. From the foods that we're eating, for one, and if you're eating the right foods but not absorbing it, you're not gonna get the vitamins and minerals out of the foods that you're eating. And, like, one of my favorites is magnesium. Magnesium is amazing for digestion. It's amazing for a lot of different things, for muscle relaxing, for brain, for tension, for relaxation. But it is also used in over 600 different enzymatic reactions within the body. 600.
wow.
Like, think about how many people, and most people, like 95% of the population, is deficient in magnesium because the main source we get magnesium from is green leafy veggies.
Right.
And I try to eat green leafy veggies all the time, and still I don't get enough.
Right.
So it's shocking. So you just think of how much we're not eating and how it's connected to how our brain's going to work. If you're not getting enough magnesium, your brain is not going to utilize that magnesium for those enzymatic reactions, which are help with clearer thinking, help with your digestion, help with energy production. Like if you're tired mentally or physically, are you going to be able to learn? Are you going to be able to do what you need to do? It's amazing, and this is not only just the kids, but it's moms too, or parents, or
Absolutely.
the ones teaching. I mean, most of especially the homeschool, like, you have to learn the information to be able to teach it to your kids. So it's just as important for the parents as well as the children to be able to eat right, and at least digest properly, or however you can. One of the easiest and the most overlooked things that I talk about all day long and every time I'm on a stage, because I cannot stress it enough, is the importance of water.
Yes.
Like drinking, yes, this is a coffee cup, but it's actually got water in it. But the importance of water, drinking enough water. You mentioned headaches. The number one sign for dehydration is headaches. And what do? We usually reach for the ibuprofen or the Advil bottle
Right.
instead of think about, okay, when was the last time I drank water? Like, it is imperative, especially for your digestive system, for your brain, for everything, that you hydrate. We are mostly water as humans.
Right.
Like they say 70% water, but really it's 85% water if you
Right.
take out the bones. The bones are really high, dense minerals, not a whole lot of water, still some, but not a whole lot of water within your bones. But everything else is water.
Yeah, it's so important, and I was shocked at how much water we actually need when I learned that, years ago. It's actually take your body weight and cut it in half,
Yes.
and that is how many ounces of water you need
You're supposed to drink every day. Yeah, ideally.
every day.
Yeah.
And
And
so it's
so
like,
that
"Oh, I
is
can't drink that much water," but you can, your body needs to.
yeah, it's shocking, and usually what I'll do is I'll up if you're drinking 0 water now or, like, once in a while, you probably have headaches, 1, you need to drink more water. But, yeah, half of your body weight, so that's your body weight in pounds, in you're supposed to drink so say you're a 150-pound person, you're supposed to drink 75 ounces of water a day.
Isn't that wild?
It seems wild, but a lot of times people will misinterpret thirst for hunger.
Oh, so true.
Yeah, because 'cause they're like, "Oh, your body like, oh, you need more water." It's like, "Oh, I'm starving." I'm like, "Well, when did you have you hydrated? Have you drank any water?" Like, "No. Yesterday, maybe afternoon, I drank some water." It's like, "Oh, well, drink a glass
Totally.
of water and see if you're still hungry."
Yeah,
And a
because
lot
I
of times you're
intermittent
not.
fast on a regular basis, and sometimes I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry," and then I'm like, "Oh, let me just drink a glass of water." I'm like, "Oh, I'm good for the next, like, 2 hours," it really is a big difference, and also with, again, the constipation thing, if you're dehydrated, stuff's not coming out.
Yeah, well, think about this. The main job of your colon. So your mostly your large intestine. Your large intestine is the big one that goes around your small intestine. The main job is to pull water and excess nutrients out of your stool. So the main job is to pull water out of your stool. So if you're not drinking enough water,
Right,
your body has to pull more water because your body's 70% water anyway. If you're not
right.
drinking it, you're just recycling it. Think about that for a second. Your body's pulling more water out of your colon to recycle. Would you rather drink clean water or would you rather recycle poop water? Like, it's gross, but it's true. I mean, your body needs water and it's going to get it, it's going to utilize it. But you're also going to get reactions like headaches and things like that if you're not getting enough. So,
Absolutely.
water is key. But if you're a 150-pound person and you don't drink any water, I sometimes don't go straight to drinking 75 ounces, drink like 40. So try to get yourself halfway there. Like that will make a huge difference in how you feel. And then just kind of incrementally increase it because you start to feel better and better. It's like, wow. One of my clients, Vicky, who comes to a lot of my things, and she's just like, oh my God, like I had no idea just how blah I felt from not drinking enough water. She
Yeah.
will forever be a water drinker. She tells everyone about it, and I love it. I actually had another client recently, or she actually didn't even become a client. She just heard me talk, and she started drinking water, and she was like gushing to all of her friends. It was funny. She didn't tell me, but I heard it from her friend circle that came to tell me. And she was like, "Oh my god!" She was like gushing. She's like, "Who would have thought I could have lost 7 pounds by just drinking water?" She's like, "Ah!" It's just because that same
Yeah.
signal within your body is like, if you're hydrated enough, and think about this back to the learning thing. If you're hydrated, your brain's going to work better. Like, think about something that's like shriveled up, right? You have always had those balls that you play in the water and they're like shriveled up. They just don't look properly. They don't feel good. But if you pump them up, you think all the cells within your body and your brain, if those are pumped up and hydrated, the electrical signals are just going to move that much quicker. It's going to be so much easier to have those thoughts, to work out the calculations, to not make the mistakes. Like it really helps with learning, and it's so simple. And most of the time it's free. Most people have indoor plumbing, like 99.999%. Like go drink tap water. Yes, tap water is honestly more strict strictly regulated than bottled water, believe it or
Absolutely.
not.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the extra plastic. I won't jump down that rabbit hole right now, but
I know, we could go there
plastics
too.
is we don't need plastic. We don't need more plastic water
No,
bottles in our
no, we
planet.
don't.
It's not good for us or the planet. Um,
No, no.
but
Yeah.
water is essential for everything, and it's so simple and so
It is
overlooked.
so simple. It's so easy. And so, what if, so a couple of places I want to go, but before we go there, and I know we kind of didn't talk about some of this, but it's totally cool. I absolutely love it. So what if like my mom doesn't like the taste of water? My husband doesn't like the taste of water.
Yes.
Our kids, like, oh, I can't get my kid to drink water. How do we do that?
I always joke, I'm like, "Just get over it." No, just kidding. No, no, no.
No.
No. Water's important. Not
Kind of.
everything has to taste like soda, but actually there is some really easy, quick tricks, and I don't recommend, like, the water additives. Honestly, one of the best things that you can do is fruit.
Yeah.
Any fruits, even vegetable like cucumbers and mint, that's really good. I had mango water the other day. Just cutting up pieces of fruit and actually putting it in the water will change the flavor of it, but not change the nutrition of it. So a lot of those food additives or water additives will change the nutrition of it and make it not as hydrating as water. That even comes to the point of I have a lot of people that ask me about like the hydration drinks. Like Liquid
Right.
IV is really popular right now. Liquid IV is great, but it's not water. It's
Yes.
not water. You could maybe put like a tiny bit in water if it's water you just cannot do as far as flavor. But again, doing fruit, mints, those kinds of things are going to be way better to give you a little bit of flavor, but still get you water.
Even
And
some good
why?
essential oils, right?
Yeah, essential
Yeah.
oils, lemons, a squeeze of lemon, that'll completely change the taste of a water. Um, but I always go back to mint. Mint's easy.
Yeah. It
Mint's a
grows
weed.
everywhere.
You can grow it. Yeah, you can grow it. You can grow it. It's not the cheapest in the store, but you can grow it really easily. I'd highly recommend doing that.
Super,
But
yeah.
lemons, limes, those kinds of things just to add some flavor to your water is one of the best things that you can do. And
Also, the
sometimes even
quality of the
ice.
water, right?
Yeah.
The quality of the water is really important. So the quality of the water also changes the taste.
Yes.
So when you have minerals or such, or anything's in the water, or if because we all know that certain bottled waters taste different depending on the brand, right?
Yep.
So that depends on I have ultra filtered water from my Berkey filter that tastes totally different than what comes out of my fridge that's filtered differently than the tap water. So it tastes totally different.
Yes, yes. I love that you have a Berkey. I have that as well. I've done a lot of research on different waters. If you can, get a Berkey water filter. That's Burke. Berkey water filter. It's one of the best because it's just a straight carbon filter. It's going to filter out all the bad stuff. Believe it or not, you can even filter out food coloring. So
Yep.
any of those doomsday preppers, I'm not really one of those, but a Berkey water filter is really good.
And they have an arsenic and fluoride filter too, so if you're not
They
into that, they
do,
do that
which
too,
is
which is
amazing, and that's one of the
amazing.
major selling points of a Berkey is that you can get a fluoride filter because we
Yeah.
don't need fluoride in our water.
No,
I
we don't.
think fluoride is important for our teeth in toothpaste, but we do not need to drink it in our water.
Yeah, so speaking of that, because that brings us to the topic of toxins, which is something that we didn't really talk about before, but I just want to touch on this because this has to do with gut health and the what's coming out of your body, which should be toxins, right? But if your gut is not able to get it out, I know one of my functional medicine doctors told me that it's like your liver's like a hotel, and when
Mhm.
all the rooms are filled up and it can't get out, then it starts going into fat. It starts going into other places in your body. And so I feel like in flushing your system is like that too. And toxins are really a big thing, today as well. But if you're constipated, your body's not flushing
Building
it.
up toxins, yeah.
Right.
You're really not getting them out, and that's really the best. Everyone's like, "Oh, do I do a cleanse or things?" I was like, one of the best things you can do, drink water. So you're essentially the one of the best ways is to urinate. That's a get rid of toxins, and then bowel movements. So make sure you're pooping every day. Ideally, should be 2 to 3 times a day, but
And
at
your
least
kids
every day.
too.
Yes, you and
And
kids,
give
like
them time
everyone in the
to. I
family.
know it's hard because you're like, "I gotta go, like, come on. Oh, mom, I have to poop now." And you're like, "Ah!" Right? Because that's so it's
It's
not good.
important, it's important. Sometimes it's not the most timely thing, but it is important to get it out of your body because that is a constant everyday detox.
Yeah,
You're detoxing your system, urination, bowel movements, and the next one is sweat. So actually like movement
right.
of your body, exercising, which is great for constipation as well.
And your
Moving your
homeschool.
body. Huh?
And your homeschool.
Yes, yes. Moving is good for everything. It's good for your brain. It's good for I you name it. I cannot say. Actually, I was reading an article from the Time magazine a couple of years ago, and it was relating to exercise. Like if exercise, if there was a pharmaceutical that did everything for your body that exercise could, it would be the most valuable pharmaceutical ever created. I was like,
I
and
love
you,
that.
your body already does it for free. You just got to move it.
Absolutely. Our bodies are not made to be stagnant, to sit in a desk, so whatever. And so get our kids moving is really important. And that's part of how they learn too. I was just listening to Dr. Peter Gray this morning, an interview with him, and he was talking. He's the author of Free to Learn. I don't
Mm,
agree with him on everything. However, I do agree that he says this playing, like physical playing and physically, and we were just talking about this last week too, is physically interacting with the world is how kids learn
oh,
about the
yeah.
world and things. I know you every once in a while you hear about a kid that's very orally exploring the world. And so yeah, they put everything in their mouth. They put everything in
Mhm.
everything goes in the mouth. And it's really interesting. So that it's important to move like that for sure too. And I think the toxins are important because if how does that affect how we learn? I mean, if we're built up with toxins.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference. I mean, just think about you said your body's storing it. Your body's going to store excess fat. Like you think of like cleaning out the back closet or throwing like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this." Your body is absorbing things that it doesn't know what to do with. So therefore it just stores it cuz it's like, "Well, we'll figure it out later." I mean, you have had like
Just
get
like
a
we
gift
do
from
in our
someone, yeah,
house.
a gift from someone you're like, "Thanks." But you can't really throw it away cuz you don't feel like confident about that. So you're like, "I'm just going to store it in the back closet." The body does the same thing with toxins.
Right.
So it stores it in fat. So you have a lot of excess fat. That's going to be a piece. But guess where there's a lot of fat? In your brain.
Just gonna say that. I was just
In
gonna
your
say that.
brain,
I was
yeah.
just gonna
So
say
that's
that.
like the big place of there's a lot of fat in your brain, and if you're storing toxins up there, what do you think's gonna happen to thought? What do you think's gonna happen to your learning quality?
And that's the other thing that I wanted to bring up really quickly because I know we're running slim on time here, but is good fats versus seed oils, right? Oh my gosh. And I know it's becoming more out there that, the seed oils and the processed vegetable oils and things like that are not good. But they do cause inflammation, correct?
Mhm.
And so our bodies are actually skin cells. I remember learning that are actually held together with lipids, with fats, right? And
Fat,
so it's really important that we take in good fats and watch the
the
yucky
not so
ones,
good
right?
fat.
So
Yeah.
I mean, what are the good oils? The
Yeah,
good
your good
fats?
fats, honestly, really the best, the gold standard is fish oils, omega 3s. So there's omega 3s and omega 6s. And ideally, in our bodies, we should have a 2-to-1 ratio of omega 3s to omega 6s. But in the standard American diet, what do you think the actual ratio for that is? So, men, it's supposed to be 3 to 6 is in a 2-to-1 ratio. It is actually a 20-to-1 ratio in the opposite direction. We have 20% more, like 20 omega 6s to 1 omega 3. So it is completely opposite and backwards of what it should be. So
Where
what
where would we find omega 6s?
omega 6 is all your seed oils, everything that you had mentioned, your seed oils, your frying oils, the hydrogenated oils in packaged foods. Those are going to be your omega 6s are going to be more pro-inflammatory. It's going to cause inflammation. We want to lower, most people know that inflammation is bad. We want to lower inflammation, especially within the brain, within the body, your joints, those kinds of things. So omega 3s, if you can increase, yes, fish increase fish in your diet. There are supplements I personally recommend. Reach out to me if you have questions, but I personally recommend a it's a plant oil, but it's an algae oil. So it has the same thing that you would have in fish oils, but they kind of cut out the fish and go straight for the algae. But we don't eat this algae, but you can take it in a supplement that gives you a lot of the benefits of like eating fish oils and then eat fish as much as you can. Like the oily, the more the smellier the fish, the better usually. And honestly, the skinless, it's not as good. Really, the highest concentration in omega-3s, like think of a fillet of salmon and you think of like you can take off the skin after you cook it, you can take off the skin pretty easily, but there's whole this gelatinous layer
Yes,
in between the skin and the flesh. That's your omega-3s.
that's money. I
That's what
love
you're
it.
buying in your supplements. So instead of peeling it off and throwing it away, like eat it. Like it's one of the best things you could do.
Well, and
It's
there's so
it's a
much
little
of that.
taboo. It's a little weird at the beginning, but it actually is my favorite part.
Well, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. If you have, and I know this is coming out a lot more lately about the seed oils and the harmfulness of that. And so, but it's really connected with a lot of brain issues, right? So, I mean, can you just share briefly about like how that affects your brain at all, like those seed oils? And they're in everything, by the way. So you really have to look at labels.
Right. It's just the concentration, right? The
Mhm.
amount of the not so great oils, especially the hydrogenated oils, your seed oils. So, hydrogenated means that they actually chemically make the double bonds, they break the double bonds and add them with hydrogen. I'm a sciencey nerd. I get it. You may not be quite there yet, but a good science lesson for you homeschool people. Look up
Love
what
it.
hydrogenation means,
Totally.
but it also makes it more shelf stable and last longer.
Right.
So a lot of your packaged foods have a lot more hydrogenated oils, even peanut butters, those kinds of things. So the more the hydrogenated oils, the more stiff the fat is.
Yes.
Then the more stiff the fat is, the more it's not going to move. It's not going to be fluid, right? The stiffer it is,
Yeah.
the less fluid it's going to be. We really want fluid, especially when our brain, omega-3s have a lot of double bonds.
Mm.
And the more double bonds it is, the more fluid it is, the more flexible, the more nutrients that allow in and out of the cells, that kind of thing. So the more hydrogen, the more omega-6, the more inflammatory, the harder it just the cells don't breathe the way that they should. So if you eat more omega-3s, it's going to have more. Think about it. If you're breathing heavily or breathing well or not breathing very well, like what's the difference in just your feeling? It's going to be the same thing within your body and in your brain.
Gosh, that's such a good description. I really love that. And when you're thinking about this and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much." Take on one at a time. That's
Yeah.
really I know that for me, I mean, there's you learn more and more and you're like, "I don't know if I could do all of these things. It's so much." But one of the things that I always tell parents when or the questions I ask when parents tell me, "Oh, my kid's just like the emotional outbursts or, is really like emotionally up and down or just foggy all the time or not engaging," I always ask about health and
Yeah.
nutrition.
For that's what I always do. The how you pooping? I think that should be a question that should be asked in every household. Maybe not around the dinner table. I get it. Not everyone's me,
In my house, it was. I had a
right?
physician
I think so.
assistant
I'm
as a
totally
father.
fine with it. But how you pooping? Like how you put like really like ask that question. And one of the things, and that's kind of I ask a lot of questions or I think of things in different ways. And have a lot of parents and clients and stuff to go like, huh, I never thought of it like that. Like that's the
I don't know if we lost her. She'll probably come back in just a second. But you guys doing the the questioning about and knowing what your kids are taking in, knowing how they're pooping, what consistency it is, that's really, really important. And so, it's really great to have this conversation and it really does affect their learning. It's so, so important. So when you have, you're thinking of your kids' health, let's just try to do a little more water, let's just try to up that a little bit. Let's just try to put in, one night a week is fish night or something, something like that. And then maybe if your kids don't eat fish, then, let's try some different things, hide it in some stuff, make like a casserole or something, right? So depending on how you depending on how you run your day, it's always busy, but where's the day that you can plan on that? And asking questions is really important, and trying to just do one thing at a time, tackle one step at a time, is very, very important. So I know we're going to talk with Nikki about how we connect with her. You can, I know she's all over Facebook, you guys. She's all over, she's all over Instagram. She's doing a lot of talks. She's in a lot of conferences. So make sure you follow her, first of all. And then she has a freebie for us as well. So it's called Poop Pop Quiz. Don't you love that? She's so adorable. Poop pop quiz. What are your turds telling you about your health? I absolutely love that. Your little boys are absolutely going to crack up, right? And when they hear that name, but it's really, really funny. So make sure we're going to put the link for that in the comments. We're going to put the link for that in the description, in the show notes. So wherever you see this video, you'll be able to find it. Make sure you grab that and just print it out and just see what it says and just take it real quick. And then take on one thing at a time. And I guarantee you, it's going to make a huge difference in your kids' ability to learn, their willingness to learn, their love of learning, and with what they're doing. So, and how they absorb it, right? How they absorb it. So, and it'll probably make your household a little happier as well. A little happier, a little more joy, right? I absolutely loved having Nikki on today. Oh, here she is. She's back with us now. She's back
I'm
with us
back.
now. I
I'm
love
back.
it. I told them
Oh,
about
my
your
power went out at the worst time.
It's all good. No worries. No worries. I told them a little bit about your poop pop quiz. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yes, yes, yes. So one of the reasons why before I was so rudely interrupted with the darn power, I was saying my brain works quite different than a lot of other people.
Yes.
And so one of the things that I have created because of that, I have a lot of people that ask. So I created the poop pop quiz, like pop quiz time. All right, we're all in school, parents, kids, everyone take it. I think it's super important. And just assess. There is a lot that goes into your digestion. So I promise there's no gross pictures. It's just questions. But they're really insightful questions to think like, how would this affect my digestion? What's going on with my digestion? It's really important to just have an overall assessment of your poop. Essentially, that's what it's all comes down to because again, back to what we talked about at the very beginning is your poop is a window to what's going on within your system.
Yeah, and this is something you can take over and over again. So it's just a snapshot. So just, take that over and over again. And Nikki, tell us how we can get in touch with you. I told them you're all over Facebook so they can get you on there. And
Yes.
NikkiGolly.com for sure.
Yep. Yep. That's kind of the best ways. Honestly, social media, I'm pretty easy to find. There's not many, there's actually only me. You can Google my name, Nikki Golly, and that'll pull up all of my social medias. I'm very active on LinkedIn, some Instagram, Facebook, all the above. Google me.
Well, and it's not hard it's not hard. We just go to nikkigolly.com and we'll find her there for
Yeah.
sure. So thank you
Yep.
so much for joining us, Nikki. Oh my gosh, I know we could just have this conversation for like a million years, but we're gonna stop right there and maybe we'll have you back to talk about the related topic on that too. So,
Deal.
but I was telling everybody just take one thing at a time and just go from there. Take your little poop pop quiz. Your little
Yes.
boys are gonna love it, like I said, and and then go through and just take one thing at a time and start reading labels and start thinking about that. So you
Yes.
guys got this. I'm so excited. It's so fun. Nikki, you are amazing and you are such a breath of fresh air. I absolutely love it. So thank you so much for joining us today, you guys, and we will see you again next week.
Thank you. Thank you.